Sort of ready, yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 15 of Side Talk with Rami and Craig. Soon to be a new channel name. What's it going to be, Rami?
Should we let everybody know already?
Oh, do you
Everybody,
want to
our
build up
10
suspense?
viewers? Yeah.
Oh, I know,
Uh,
Rami. We'll leave it to the end. They have to watch everything.
well, let's do that. No,
The name will be revealed at the end.
the big reveal.
Anyone who's watching is just like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, like I said, the 10
skip,
people under they're watching us now.
bro. We've got a fan base of 4 now.
Oh, bravo.
I'm telling you, this will
We're,
be.
we're
It's not
working
about
up.
the numbers, Rami. It's about
Nah,
brand loyalty.
yeah, I mean, it can't be about the numbers right now. So
No,
it's not about the numbers.
we don't have any numbers.
Mm,
Anyway, what were you gonna say there?
nothing. It's episode
Welcome to
15.
the Nothing Podcast.
I did want to call it that, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. But I think a show about nothing.
Oh yeah, you did say that.
Yeah,
But
I did.
I
I
don't.
said that. I said that.
I just don't. I
Um,
don't know. I think it's too negative.
it might be because first of all, that is a Seinfeld reference from the '90s. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't think anybody except other than me and
bro.
you
We
know.
need to tap into our younger audience.
Yeah, they won't even get that reference. A show
No,
about nothing. You know.
no.
Why the hell am I watching this?
Yeah, let's talk about. I don't know.
All
What
right,
is?
so episode 15, that's we always talk about our landmarks. I don't know, 15 seems real to me now. It wasn't 10, it wasn't 12, it wasn't, deuces 12. It wasn't lucky number 13.
Uh-huh.
It was this one feels like we're getting somewhere.
This is number 15, bro.
That's what I said, 15.
But you didn't talk about number 14.
Oh, who cares? I skipped with the I skipped
Oh, you were
14. I
doing the
was
big
like,
numbers.
yes, I was saying
But
what
why
the
is 13 a big number and 14's not?
because 13 is
Unlucky?
the one of the apostles who betrayed Jesus.
Oh,
It was
wow.
Judas. Yes.
That's so crazy the way you just assigned that meaning to that number.
Well, because okay, why is 13 unlucky? Did you know why?
Is that the day that he.
Judas, who betrayed.
Yeah.
Here's a religious lesson for everybody, right? But even though I'm not a source for religious lessons, but okay, right? When Christ Jesus, right? Not that I believe in Christ. This is what referred to him as
Uh-huh.
Christ, right? Christ Jesus, when he was betrayed
That's actually
punctured
Jesus Christ. It's the other way
Jesus.
around.
Well,
Or-
Christ and Jesus. That's not unison. Jesus is a name. Christ is what they labeled kind of him as, I suppose. But Jesus was his name, so Christ Jesus is as valid as Jesus Christ. No, because
I'll
that's not
fact
his
check.
name.
I'm going to
He didn't
fact
have
check.
an ID saying, "Hey, what's your name?" Oh, Jesus Christ. No, that's not his
Oh,
name.
bro.
Jesus of Nazareth, maybe. Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
right. So the reason by the 13, quickly, okay. Um, they were looking for this so-called self-proclaimed son of God, the Roman, I guess, Senate, emperor, whatever, dictator at the time, who was, I believe, was Pontius Pilate, or he was the head of the council.
Mm.
Okay, uh,
Mm.
Judas, for some reward, as they say, betrayed Jesus
Mm.
to Pontius Pilate.
Yeah.
Right?
He was looking some
So,
Ethereum.
not even back then,
32
right?
pieces of Ethereum.
Right. So he was the 13th apostle of Jesus. There's 12 apostles, I think, right? And he was the 13th. So,
Mm.
so that's why it's unlucky.
Oh, it's a bit
Crazy, huh?
far-fetched.
Huh? Yes, it's not because of the 80s Friday the 13th movies. It's Friday the 13th before the movie. Before the movie, it was Friday the 13th. I guess
Bro,
because of Good Friday and I don't know. I don't know that particular heritage,
bro,
but it's interesting. Anyway, 15 is a big number.
bro, I've got a good I've got a good tangent.
Yeah,
Sorry,
come
do you
on.
want me to
The segue?
celebrate it? I'll celebrate that a wee bit. Go on.
I mean, okay.
So
Thank you.
it just brought back a memory of whenever, have you ever seen the, what's that movie with Jesus? Sorry. What's that? What's the movie? The very famous movie with about the story of Jesus. It was like a blockbuster kind of movie.
With
Uh,
Mel Gibson,
yeah, the
not the Crucible. No, that's
the something of
Arthur
the
Miller.
Christ.
Passion of the Christ.
Passion of the Christ, right?
Yeah.
So I remember, like, we grew up in a pretty religious family, right? We Methodist every week, and then youth clubs and all the rest. So
Hmm.
I just remember sitting in the living room with my brother, and for some reason we were like, right, let's watch Passion of the Christ. We've not seen it, and it was in our world, so it was extra like real to us, you know. But we are also at that age where things are hard to impress us, you know. And I remember my mom knew that we were watching it, and after it was over, she came in and she was expecting us to be like, wow, like, and she said to us, um, wasn't it awful when Jesus was getting whipped, and wasn't it the worst thing you ever seen in your life? And me and my brother turned to each other, and then we were all just like, um, honestly, I didn't think it was that bad. you know and my brother piped in, he's like, yeah, it was nothing, like, he just, and my
Well,
mom.
that's interesting, Craig. Because well, one, I thought Passion of the Christ was an excellent movie.
Yeah, it probably was.
I thought, forget about the, the
The
religious
religious
aspect of it.
aspect.
It doesn't even really affect me. I mean, they're just telling a story. I thought it was well acted, well written, well directed by Mel Gibson, who is
Yeah,
like hated semi now.
yeah.
But he does have his talent. Now, that's funny that you say that, because one, you're also not viewing this from a religious perspective. You're
Mm.
kind of comparing it to other violent movies that you have
Yes.
seen, right? And because you seen way more violence than that shit, in
Yeah.
any movie you want to pick, right, lately,
Mm.
right? You're like, what's the big deal? And that's kind of a really young
Yeah.
millennial. Are you a millennial?
Yep.
Right? You are. Right. I thought you were below a millennial, right? Yeah. Right. So that's a millennial kind of, because that's how kind of millennials, young millennials, because
Yeah.
I'm a millennial actually as well,
Yeah.
technically,
Yeah. Yeah. You
right?
are. You just made the
Right.
cut.
Yeah. I'm like right at the end, right? Right. So, but young millennials kind of view things like that, kind of like, what's the big deal about
Like,
a
we've got
lot
a
of stuff,
ranking in our head of what is the most brutal.
right? Because it's like a YouTube, right? YouTube ranking in your brains, like
Almost.
what's the
Yeah.
best, right? And it's not like nothing is which is good in a way that, you know, it kind of, you're not susceptible
Yeah.
to religious kind of bias, sort of. You're less why can't I say this word? Susceptible,
I have no idea what word you're saying.
vulnerable,
Oh, you want to say susceptible?
susceptible. I can't say it.
Yeah, I suppose.
Susceptible, right?
Yeah.
To religious bias, less susceptible to those type of things, right?
Mm,
Because it's just like a ranking algorithm for you or something, right?
true.
On the other hand, right, that has kind of unpredictable results, right, from those type of things. That's why you get like all these kind of NFTs, right?
Mm.
Right? Like, oh wow, like to an older person, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that doesn't even make
That
sense.
doesn't. Yeah.
Right?
It,
So
they don't try to. Yeah, like, but it just, I'll always just remember the look on my mom's face when she had just heard from her two boys that this wasn't gruesome, and she was just in utter, like, shock, and I almost appalled, you know. And I was like, wow, it was just such an iconic moment in a family, in our
yeah, I
family.
mean,
It's weird.
yeah, most people look at it like that. How someone not should, because I don't like to say those type of things,
Mm,
right? But instead of like being appalled at you, right? I would be kind of questioning, why don't you think this is appalling, right? Because obviously religion is not a kind of deep thought life
Mm,
invoking kind of thing for you, right? And
at age, yeah.
it is for your mom for many reasons, right? And again, I hate people who criticize that, like people who criticize religious people or
Mm,
atheists. I mean, listen, we are all in this world. So if you want to think God existed when there is no evidence of God, sure, think that. If you don't, if you want to not think God exists when there is no evidence of that, right? Go ahead, because those things are kind of like, okay, I'm going to show you a color blue. Tell me what you think, right? And it's just like, oh, well, you should. Obviously, this blue is
yeah, you
darker
make,
in color.
yeah.
You know, you don't see that. You're a fucking idiot, and that's kind of why we're like this. Nobody
Yeah.
thinks really, not nobody. I don't want to say anyone, but many people don't think of it like, I would say the majority of people don't think of it like that. They get mad at the person, like, why do you think that, right? Instead of like, wait a minute, what's he thinking,
Mm,
right? To get to that conclusion, right? Because for me, religion is, and I'm not saying particularly me, I'm just saying anybody who is religious. Religious is everything, right? It guides my life, it saves me, and that's very much valid and true, right?
mm,
But I don't have to, because it saved your ass doesn't mean it needs to save mine. You know what saves my ass? Bitcoin, because now I am paid and independent from the income I make from
sure.
like I had a friend of mine once, or and I don't even remember the friend's name at this point because I'm not sure who told me this. Right? He was like, I was,
Not
we
much of
had
a friend, hey.
no, I guess not. Right? So, we were talking about God and kind of the same thing we're talking about, right? And he told me he worships the soul, the sun.
Oh, okay.
And I was like I wanted my first reaction, like, huh, like what an idiot, or
Yeah.
that's like the instant reaction. But I didn't say anything, and I was just like, really? He's like, yeah. Then he explained. He was like, listen, I see the sun. It gives us life. It gives us food. It gives it makes trees grow, which we need. And without the sun, we would be absolutely dead. And at least I could see it, and it comes back and it rises, right? And I'm like, okay. I mean, I can't argue with that. What makes that more ridiculous or valid than anything you believe or I believe? It doesn't, because I can't prove anything to you anyway,
Mm,
right? Now,
like,
so a scientist could look at the sun, I guess, but even science has to come and admit religion is part of kind of science.
hmm,
What?
religion's a part of science.
People want to always separate religion and science, right? I don't look at it like that. I look at it as a necessity for each one in a civilization, right? If you were to make a civilization, right, I think religion is a necessity, right? Because the aesthetic part of human beings needs something to believe in,
Not
right?
really, though. Look at the Chinese.
Are you kidding me? They believe in many things. They believe in Buddhist gods. Some of them are Christian. Some of them are
But
Muslim.
the majority not atheists, or
No, who told you that? They're Buddha. The
I,
majority it's Buddhism,
yeah,
Christianity, right? Because Christianity is everywhere,
yeah.
and some Islam
I
mixed
thought
in.
it was so. The reason I'm thinking that is because I used to live with this Chinese guy called Ho. See, at Christmas time, bro, it was so funny. Like, um, and he, we was it was in our like Christian abode, like this big community, and he was at the dinner table, and some people started asking him, Ho, so what's your experience with God? And expecting him to be like, I'm a Christian for 3 years or whatever. And he just says, oh, I don't believe any of that. He didn't realize that he had just signed up for like this Christian community accommodation at university. He didn't know it was like Christian themed. And then that's that everyone just turned around to this one little Chinese
Uh,
guy. But listen. And they were just trying to tell him about, like, don't you believe this? Don't you believe that? And he was like, I've never seen a person just more.
Attacked, stigmatized.
I don't know how. No. I just don't know how to. to sort of describe how he reacted to the questions in such a calm manner, as if this was all bizarre. These, like, how can these people
Right,
believe this?
right. I mean, that's correct. I mean, but he is suffering from the other extreme. Like I just
Yeah.
told you, whether you're atheist and you're not respecting other forms of belief, or very religious and not respecting atheism as right. I look at science as the language of God. And I don't think anyone could deny that. I don't care how religious you are or how much of an atheist. Science is seems to be how God talks, right? Because that is what we have: science, genetics,
But
biology,
bro,
right?
are you not kind of changing the definition of science and religion? Like
No,
we use those two.
religion is based on faith, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes religion. Whatever it is, you have the faith in. It's some kind of leap of faith, right?
Mm. Bro,
So, where do you? What are leaps in faith in science called?
leaps in faith in science. I guess research.
No, because you're basing it on something you cannot prove. Theories, right? Theories are kind of leaps of faith, man. You know, any theory you
But
think of.
they're replicable. Like,
Yeah, but what about what part of? Okay, give me any human being on Earth, and I guarantee you, I could ask him to explain something, and he wouldn't be able to explain something to me. I don't care. The smartest human being on Earth, right? Because there are unknowns that are unexplainable on this planet, right?
okay.
So my point being is that religion, right,
Mm.
bases creators base the origin of man, right, and what
Yes.
seems to be kind of magical sources, right? What is the
Yes.
origin of man in science? Also kind of magical sources. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, these things came together and all we're doing is trying to get into more detail from the Bible, right? That's all I'm saying. I mean, I'm saying at each point, I think religion and science cross. And
Yes.
yes, you know, some might think that, oh, religion is bad because the people who have done bad things do
Yes.
it have done it in the name of religion, but that's just human nature and human flaws, right? Generally, every religion I've encountered,
Mm.
any religion, because I respect all religions, right? Have some sort of based respect for one another. No religion tells you to go kill another person. They might say, "Hey, you see this line? I interpret it as." They won't even I say I interpret it as. They'll just say, "This is what this says in the Bible."
Mm.
When the Bible actual verse, if you read it, it is so vague, right? You can interpret it many ways,
It's a
right?
bit tricky, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. People confuse people who are religious with the religion,
Yeah.
right? And if you follow religion, there's always respect. I always go to the Ten Commandments. I mean, like I always have this experiment in my head where if the Ten Commandments weren't written down,
Mm.
right? Would we follow it or not as human beings, right? And I gotta say yes. Okay. You know,
Mm.
I was thinking the other day,
It
Craig.
makes sense for us to
Yeah,
follow them.
right. I was
It's
thinking the other day.
advantageous in society.
Right, right. Because you know, if you ask a criminal, if I would, I just do. I like to do these thought experiments in my head, right? And this time I was a research reporter going to a prison, and I
Mm.
was like, I wonder if I asked the people in prison this, what would they say?
Yeah.
You know, so the question I asked was, do you think that you are a bad person?
Mm. All of them would say
Right?
no.
No, I disagree. I think
Really?
all of them would say yes.
Really?
Why? Yes, yes,
I
because they know they've done wrong.
Yeah, but would they? But to say evil, it kind of defines
Bad. I
me.
didn't say evil.
Oh,
I
bad.
said
Sorry,
bad.
I'm
I
sorry.
said bad. Those
But
are different things.
but to say
Very different things.
I understand. But to say that you're a bad person, it's still like absolute categorization. Whereas I think a lot of them would feel gray. You know, I feel like they would think that they are.
No. No,
Do you not think so?
no, because they haven't put that much thought into
Are we
the
talking?
morality of their actions. I'm saying,
Oh,
right,
well,
and I'm not.
fair enough.
Listen, I ain't talking about people who got busted for having drugs or anything, because
Mm.
those, I'm talking about murderers. Like, I'm talking about the most
Oh,
vile kind
okay.
of crimes here, right? Right. I mean, like the Ten Commandment crimes. Ten
Yeah.
Commandment doesn't say, "Hey, you cannot smoke a blunt." I
Okay.
forbid it. Right? It says you cannot murder. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if rape is in there, but I'm sure it's insinuated from that, right? But anyway,
Yeah.
right? I bet you if you ask these people, do they want to get out? Hell yeah. And they'll, if they have to say I'm innocent, they will to get out. I'm not
Mm.
saying that. And I'm just asking, do you think, you've done bad things? You're a bad person. And I guarantee you, 8 out of 10 will say yes, right? And my point is, right, because that the point is that they, even though they know they're doing bad things, they still do them. That's another, I guess, question, right? But we would still know the Ten Commandment kind of things. Don't steal, because
Mm.
I don't have to tell you that's wrong, right? You know when you steal, like, because you are a human being, you know how it is to get taken from your shit. You
Mm.
know it's wrong. You just justify it some other way. We're not even talking about the justification. I'm just saying that science would say that that is chemical, something inherent in us, right? So does religion. Religion also says that's something inherent in us, because you have the Ten
Interesting thought.
Commandments. That's what I'm saying. Religion and science are the one and the same, man. I'm not saying they're, oh my God, well, but science has the scientific method, and we have experiments, and right, okay, because that's how we are built to learn things,
I don't
right?
know, man. Like, I think you're taking a big old broad brush there. I appreciate that example, but I'm just
Yeah, I mean,
thinking, the
why? Why would
because
you?
because religions in their holy books outline only so much, whereas um science has been able to identify and categorize and experiment on and conclude on their hypothesis, which just way more. So I don't think everything's been defined in those books. I just think that the world is so vast, and the galaxies and then everything that we have. the- I don't know.
Okay,
I think they've covered a lot.
all right. So you see, then that would mean every great scientist was not, or was on the board, on the non-religious side. Would you agree with that? Every great scientist was on the non-religious side. Would you
I don't
agree
know.
with?
I don't
But would
know.
you think that would be sort of true, right? That most scientists, especially great ones, would be so anti-religion, because obviously so contrast to their own methods, right? They would say, hey, no, 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 they'll probably be atheists, right?
Maybe, I don't know.
Wrong, right? Right? Isaac Newton, right? One of my favorite
Oh, is your one of your
all
favorites?
time.
Is he? Is that just because he's
Yeah,
popular, Rami? This is
no,
like
because he
people
has
do this
come
with
up
their
with,
football.
wait, no, no, I'll tell you why. Because while other scientists have come up with great discoveries and great theories,
Yeah.
right? Mr. Newton not only came up with, a law, three laws of physics,
Mm.
laws. I mean, he proved the laws of physics. He also has laws of arbitrary planets, which is not even in the realm of where he was at the time, right? Also, gravity, which is a theory, but come on, man. I mean, think about it. He says, I mean, you think, why is this red lighter dropping, right? And he comes up with there has to be some sort of thing pulling on it,
Yeah.
right? Because why would, why me, I'm like jumping in the air, like, wait, I could jump, right? Isaac Newton was like, yo, why does this apple fucking fall, right?
Mm.
That's why he's one of the greatest, right? I have a top three, right? Anyway, um, he was very religious.
Mm.
Devoted
Hold on,
Christian.
sorry. Newton was.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
super religious. Look it up, right? I'm just saying, right? I don't find that contradicting or contrasting at all. I'm like, oh, okay, because it's a he could explain this, but everything science explains, right? Isn't it already here? There's nothing. everything that we've discovered is here. I mean, it's just that's the way of the nature of how things work, right? We're
Bitcoin.
discovering, right? They're discovering things here. So the language is science, right?
Mm.
All religion tries to do, because there's more than just numbers and genetics and proteins, right? There's some kind of thing moving us about, like the soul, right? When science can explain the soul, then I may agree with you. Okay, we don't need religion at all, right? But
Yeah, that's a good point.
science it can't even touch the soul. We don't even know what that fucking thing is. Is it energy? Even if it's energy, then where does it go when you die? And if it, who knows, right? But I'm saying religion addresses that part, and human beings need it, right? And if I could explain to you in a logical manner how, well, if we have the scientific stuff, we also have to implant religion, because otherwise they would die off the human race or whatever, right? Right? And that's what I'm saying.
I like that, Romy. I like a lot of the thoughts you just put out there. Very thought provoking. I think that you're right about the fact that until you can kind of explain a lot of the emotions and this, like you
Yeah.
say, there's a lot of elements. You think about 3D. It feels like the world is made in 100D, if that's possible.
Well, yeah. That's true. I've
Different
had
realms,
that. Yeah.
and it's just we just don't know much.
Yeah. I'm just saying. My real point is respect the other side a little bit, because the other side might have, some stuff you missed, right? I mean, it's just the way things are. You can't possibly know everything.
Mm,
The other some other guy might know. Even if you think, like I told you, the guy who worships the sun, I could feel that. I understand that. It's If you're saying practically, I only worship what I see, and
mm.
that's a very valid. How can you argue against that, right?
Yeah,
Then and
I
then
know
you're
how
like,
you'd argue against it, but I
I mean, no. I
understand.
mean, yeah, you can argue against it, but logically, there is no winning argument against it, right? Yeah, because at some point, I'm gonna have to say you have to believe something that you can't see. I mean, that's gonna be my point, right?
Mhm.
Right. So, but then he's gonna be like, okay, well, then we're taking some faith. I'm taking faith out of it, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just a way of looking at things that, okay, I respect this guy's. I don't have to stigmatize him or
Yeah,
say he's is this, and this is a good segue of what we discussed earlier about, like, cancel culture,
yeah,
right? Cancel culture is super dangerous, but it has its positive kind of effects, right? And I just don't believe anybody's looking at both kind of seriously. Or, I mean, it's not even about looking at both, right? It's about businesses who control kind of these things, monetary, not wanting any type of disruption in that business, which you understand. However, um, when we're taught to believe that this is a freedom, the internet or whatever it is,
hmm,
that cancels that part of it, which is it actually cancels. It doesn't cancel the person. They should call it canceling. The moral. It should be morally called canceling. Morality, right? Because now you're telling everybody, well, none of this is tolerated, not even a little bit of the norm, right? And that has its repercussions, because now, if I want to be thought provoking, like if we were having, like, say one day, Craig,
yeah.
hopefully, right, we have sponsors, right? We're
Oh
gonna
yeah,
have to we're gonna have to change. You're gonna see a big difference in the way you and I talk, correct? I mean, because we don't want to lose those sponsors, right?
oh yeah.
So
Suppose so.
that's what I'm saying. That's the dangerous part. It
Or do you?
restricts freedom of speech. You know?
What if you were defiant? Nah, it's not the right word. Maybe, but what if you're just you don't accept the sponsors and don't agree to their terms, and then you find sponsors that actually are down with the way that we do things? Is that not
They'll still get you, Craig. That's what I'm
Rummy?
saying.
That's such a defeatist attitude.
It's not a defeatist attitude. I'll tell you why. Because we could look at examples of how, if you got too big,
Mm,
right, and it disrupted business, right?
Yeah.
They teamed up and kind of tried to ruin your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You
By
know?
the way, by the way, bro, have you seen this? Oh wait, sorry.
It's Kermit and
This Kermit guy is on Omegle. Listen.
Wait, you Kermit.
Elmo, that's some bullshit.
I'm so sorry, Kermit.
what is that?
This
Wait,
lighting
can
is
I?
really bad.
What are we watching though? I don't get it.
So basically, Kermit, this guy has made a profile for Omegle, and it's like it's chat room, and he just records
Really?
his.
I never heard of
Yeah.
Omegle.
Wait, you're so.
I never did.
Oh, anyway, so people go on and chat, and then they make a lot of creators make content out of this because they go on it with a purpose. Maybe they play a song for somebody and they get their reaction and put it on social media. Blah 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 blah. This is Kermit the Frog, and this guy he goes around and has chats with these people, and then shows them his penis. Like he's got a big cucumber down here, and then it's Kermit the Frog, so it's funny that some like lovable character would just then get dirty and say, I'm just on Omegle looking for some hose, and then he brings out his penis. No, but what do you say?
Because I need the proof.
Are you sure you don't want a pic of Elmo?
I'm sorry, Kermit. I'm sorry.
Hello.
Hey there.
Hey there.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Can't complain, you know.
What are you doing on Amigo?
Looking for bitches.
I can't lie, I'm doing the same. Do you have any tips?
Just the tip of my dick. Look at this.
Wait, what?
What?
Let me see that again.
All right, all
You
right.
get the point?
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a bit random. Go ahead.
You gotta tell me about this Meagle thing some more later on. Yeah, I have no idea what it is.
Google is.
Do I know? Very funny. Yes, I know what Google is.
Anyway, sorry, I'm being too harsh on you. You carry on. You're in a
I
better.
thought you were gonna try to explain it to me. Anyway, right? That's great. Kermit the Frog is showing his cucumber cock. All right. So, right. That's what people. That's like why people don't like the internet, by the way. But anyway, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, cancel culture, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, man. I believe in identifying what's going on
Yes.
correctly, and that's what kind of cancel culture is. It's calling people out and kind of anything, right? Oh, that's always been kind of fucking racist. You know that? When you say my ears are cute, you really mean my tits, don't? I mean, and stuff like that, right? So
Mm.
that's okay. That's the positive, and we should be kind of aware of these subconscious things we do and conscious things that make other people belittle them, right?
Yes.
But on the other hand, you need to not take the vitality of life by doing it, right? I mean,
Mm.
like I said, I think we talked about this. Most of the girls I have interacted with like to get hit on by the guy they like, right? It's a right. That's just and and people that have been victims of racist shit have said pretty racist shit themselves. I'm pretty sure because everybody has, right? At some point in your life, you might have made a joke or something, or did something in private that kind of would if somebody heard it out loud, and that's okay. We need to just acknowledge that's kind of part of the game, right? And not immediately try to shatter each other's glass houses when you live in a glass house,
Yeah.
and that's important because it makes you now deal with something and kind of try to go above the fray, right? It makes you progress if you treat it as that, not as a way that, oh, this guy said was playing a video game and he said a Jewish slur like the Miami Heat player, right? Did you hear about that? Yeah,
No,
he
I
was
didn't.
playing Twitch, and I don't know what the slur. I didn't even look it up because they wouldn't say it's on ESPN and shit. But if I had to guess, I think it was kite, which is a derogative name for Jewish people, right?
Mm, mm.
He was saying that, and I guess he was cursing out. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. I even know what I hardly know what Twitch is, right? I know it's like you play video games and shit on TV, right?
Mm.
And I guess maybe whatever, and he was like, "Oh fuck this, you fucking kite." I don't know. I'm just guessing those what he said or something like that, right? And
Oh yeah, it's common.
they suspended him from the NBA, right?
Mm,
Um, they suspended him from the NBA. A lot of people made statements. A lot of Jewish athletes had broadcasts, "Hey, I'm Jewish," and a lot of them were making good points. They weren't like belittling him or saying, "Hey, you asshole, why did you say that? You're racist." He was like, "Yo, let's talk. Why do you talk like that?" Right? And my point is, right, all of that stuff is not going to help. Suspending him, all it's going to teach him is, yo, when I am on a platform where it's public and I am somewhat of a celebrity, even though you probably even know who he is, right? It's just an athlete,
mm,
right? Isn't it like, yo, I shouldn't have said that on that public forum?
yeah.
Now it's gonna make him like, shit, it cost me money, right? And now, we're treating individuals like kind of like corporations, right? And we're
Yeah, true.
right, and so corporations do that. You if you knock a lot of money on it, they're gonna notice and they're gonna change the way they act. That's how you get to a corporation, money, right? When a human beings, money ain't the right way to get to people,
Mm.
right? You have to lead by example.
With
That's
your,
how you get to people.
with your heart.
I mean, yeah, sort of. It might sound like corny or whatever, right? But yeah, you have to lead by. There has to be an example to lead by, not to question.
Mm.
Hey, you should have never said that on TV or YouTube or whatever the fuck, right? That
Like that
why?
kind of Keanu Reeves sort of effect.
Right, exactly, right. So right, so what you do is you make him, or you just show him that, hey man, you're saying that,
Mm,
right? As a way to express your frustration and anger, and during the part of the video game, and you think that's part of your lingo, right?
yes.
Right, and right that now, if you start letting him think that way, right, then he'll be like, maybe he won't say that in the future. Maybe I don't
Like
know,
you think
right?
it's gonna have a longer lasting, more like just a
A
longer lasting
genuine
effect,
effect.
a genuine effect. That's a good way.
Genuine effect, right? Because now all you're gonna be like, fuck, man, yeah, I shouldn't have said that, but I mean, give him a couple of years,
Yes.
right? And somebody's gonna say some anti, something against the Jewish people, and
Mm,
I bet you he'll be right in there, like, yeah, fuck these, blah, blah, blah,
mm,
anti-Semitic. That's what I meant to say. Somebody's gonna say anti-Semitic things, and I mean, I don't want to put like, oh, he's gonna definitely do it, but I'm just saying, I just know humans, right? And like, if you punish them for getting caught, that doesn't change the behavior of doing it, right?
yeah.
I mean, and you can't change the behavior because it is passed on from his childhood, from his parents, the way he grew up, where he grew up, right? How can something change that? All I could do is kind of try to hopefully inspire him to kind of really think about what he's saying and why he's saying it, right? That's the only way, right?
Mm,
And the only way to do that, Mr. Craig, is by leading by example. Again, it's hard for me to say this because I am a flawed human being. Trust me, I'm not saying it from a high horse or something, right?
mm.
But I do know exactly what I say when I say it to people, and I always think about it, And I'm just saying, if we kind of teach that to people,
Mm.
right, a lot less stuff would stop happening. Not like stop it completely, but at least get better, right? And there's none of that going on today, Craig. Nothing.
I was thinking there, Rami, that we live in a time, and we have done for the last, well, since the dawn of social media, where everything you say in your business is documented and put out there in any form, whether that's video, audio, or written. And, we're actually, maybe there should be some empathy and just even awareness of where like us as a society have come from at the beginning of social media, where we had to learn there's consequences. We had to dial it in a little bit more and refine what we say, and educate ourselves, because everyone wasn't challenged from their attitudes and prejudices and what they said up to what, 20 years ago, really, or the dawn of the internet. Maybe started in forums and that, but was since 2010, is it really? Or maybe a little bit before that. And maybe just a little bit of empathy and in understanding people's education. They're coming from maybe a background where these things are not discussed, and you don't understand where you can't even identify your own prejudices. And what all I'm saying here is, like, there should be some understanding to a degree, because and talk and try and get up to that next level as soon as possible. And I think that now, uh, we're like these generations where we're seeing this transition. We now kind of have we'll take this knowledge and these thoughts and this pragmatism and critical thinking and empathy forward and teach it to our next generations. And I don't know if there'll be the same kind of uh mistakes that maybe our generations made in terms of what they're putting out there, and saying something a bit stronger than they probably should, or less thoughtful. So yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to see where we're going, um, because so many of us are still young,
Mm,
when these effects they're happening in real time, right? So it's hard to kind of say, hey, this is what's going to happen in the future. Is this going to be a negative future? It sure seems like it, though. It sure seems like we're heading in the wrong
nice.
direction. I mean, it does. I mean, it seems like no matter what's going on, everybody has, and their mother has a different opinion about it. And I just, again, that's great for creativity and independence and all that stuff, but it's also bad for progression, because none of us will ever move forward if we're squibbling and squabbling,
Mm,
right? All the time, right? So, I mean, you have leadership, man. That's the answer, Craig. We need leadership, because, again, example, right? It's like almost like a broadcast signal.
mm.
When you have a leader that's doing stuff like we were talking about Princess
Diana.
Diana, right? Right,
Oh, for
and
everyone listening here, Rami said earlier, Princess Diana.
right,
It gave me the
Diana.
funniest picture in my head.
I picture her, sipping tea with a
Oh
pinky up,
yeah,
right?
Princess
So,
Diana.
uh, Diana, right? And and I was telling Craig, like, he's over in the UK, and they have a very uh, connected kind of uh, magnifying glass in the royal family all the time, right? And he was telling me about, like, yeah, Diana, Princess Diana, and I was like, yeah, I mean, she was super big in the United States as well. I remember that, because she was such a bright and positive and kind of progressive spirit. Like, you felt like she would do the right thing,
Mm,
in a leadership position, and she tragically died young. And that's what we need, somebody like that, but doesn't die young, or at least does a
mm,
lot in their short time. I mean, if you look at Martin Luther King, the 33, I think he died, 35, crazy, right? I mean,
crazy.
you're almost there, right? I mean, I'm just saying, all these young people seem to bright and die that really do changes, right?
Yeah,
And
takes a lot out
lately
of
we
them.
haven't, lately we just haven't had any. I can't think of anybody in the past 20, 30 years
Mm.
that was like that.
People,
Nothing. I mean,
people are so
maybe Nelson
protective.
Mandela, but Nelson Mandela, he kind of did a big thing in South Africa, but that was so long ago, and that was like the last thing,
Yeah,
you
you
know?
think everyone's kind of, there is something, bro, right? I'm with you on this in terms of leadership in politics, like world leaders, but see as well, even in sports. Like, I don't know what yous are like, but see, growing up in watching football in the 90s, that's soccer for any Americans. It was like full of characters, man. It was just beautiful. The game was beautiful and inspirational. Like, I looked at 20 players in that league and I'd be like, I want to be like them. Like, they just showed strength, and then there was respect, and then there was like doing things the right way, and it was strong. You could feel the strength of it. And then ask any kid today, who do they want to be like? Maybe I mentioned Marcus Rashford before. He's a young kid who's doing things right, but a lot of them, they're diving, they're being like really deceitful on the pitch. They're being yappy. They're being like all these weak traits of complaining and social media ridiculousness, selfishness, flashiness with their clothes and their cars and whatever. Whereas before it was like, you know, you wanted to be something. And I'm like, who are these kids looking at right now?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But I only add the caveat of saying that I think sports are a reflection of society more than they control how society
Yeah, man.
reflects,
I agree.
right? So like all that stuff is about now. It's about like we said, it's seeped into there because now we're telling them they're more important than they really are. And I'm
Mm.
not saying that in a kind of dismissive way of athletes, right? What I'm saying is that, you know, it only, that old adage about your mother critiquing you, don't say, if you have nothing nice, don't say nothing at all, right?
Mm.
And that's more not about saying nothing nice. If you don't have something that, that's adding to the conversation, then don't say nothing at all. And that's always been it, right? Well, like what you're talking about in the 90s, right? Even though I'm sure they bickered between each other, but there was no Instagram, so they had no voice to kind of submit that, right? And
Yeah.
also there was like a kind of honor kind of thing in sports that's been kind of less and less. And I love LeBron James. I love him. He's like, I as a man and an athlete, he's top for me,
It's
right?
very cute.
But this is kind of like his fault though. It's kind of his because he took the traditional, hey, loyalty to team. He's like, why should I be loyal to a team, right? And I'm not saying it's
Yeah,
wrong
it's
or
not
right,
that.
right. And so he just kind of broke it. He's like, yeah, I'll do what I want. We'll do
Mm.
something new, right? And now these athletes, because they all made like, wow, what a big thing LeBron James did, and it was so huge at the time, right?
Mhm.
That now they're like, okay, now LeBron James thinks his voice carries weight. Well, guess what? It does carry weight now, right? Because it was a kind of a self kind of thing that he started, and now it does, right? And and LeBron James does well. Like I said, I have nothing to say against the man. He is exemplary in his marriage. Seems to be a great father. Helps us. I mean, you can't really ask more of him. But that's just
Yeah,
LeBron James. You know
I
what I'm saying?
know.
That's not every
Not
athlete.
everybody.
Right, and that's what I'm saying because he took the steps to be like, okay, I don't know him. I would love to talk to him and say what he
Mm.
really did because he seems to be so conservative in some of the things he says sometimes
Is
because he
he?
knows he is. Yeah, I mean, he is critical of some things, but he gets like kind of upset, and his it's almost it seems childish sometimes the way
Right.
he, yeah, the way he says stuff, but again, I'm not, he is an exemplary person of a man, and we all have our faults, right?
Yeah.
So back to your point about sports, yeah, I'm like, man, yeah, man, I mean, but sports ain't really, I don't see that as the issue because sports dictate just that, sports. It's not more like if LeBron James said, vote for this person, which he didn't, by the way, right? He
Right?
always like no, he hates Trump, but he never said don't vote for Trump because he doesn't. Again, he's checking himself, right?
Okay.
I don't think anybody would listen anyway, right?
Mm.
Now, but somebody that's politically affecting lives, that's what I'm talking about
Yeah.
because that's beyond sports, you know, that's beyond that deals with sports too because when coronavirus hit, I mean sports were gone, right? But nobody really complained because they're like, yo, we got bigger things to worry about right now. Whether you believe it or not, it was a big thing, of course, obviously, right?
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. So sports in general, I think take a back seat to life. Life is politics, and that's why we need leaders in public politics. There's plenty of singers and actors who are
But bro,
benevolent, you know.
it's really, I understand, and I'm with you. It's just I can't blame anyone who doesn't want to step forward and take up this huge amount of attention to inspire, because when you look at history, you look at what the media does and what people do with the content, like they manipulate it and present them always
Yeah,
in a terrible way. And even if you're somebody who is seen in the good books, your life's
mm,
kind of ruined because you got no
you're
privacy.
right. No, you have you're absolutely right, Craig. That's why
It's a
in terms
hard
of
road to take.
right. That's why, in terms of Barack Obama, I never said I don't like him. I still like Barack Obama, right? I just said he disappointed me. You know why? Because I wanted him to be that.
Mm,
Because he had the opportunity to actually be what I was talking about,
mhm.
right? But he chose not to. And how can I blame a man who was like, no, my family and all this burden you get, like you pointed out, I just told you half the people that do this die. Right? So
Mm.
like they die from some sort of like crazy assassination or paparazzi caused car accidents. It is
Yeah.
not, it's not a burden,
No
but
one,
somebody needs to, man, or we're in trouble. Like we need religion, right? We
anyone out
need
there, we need a
yes.
leader. It's not the nicest road. You will lose your privacy, get exploited, blackmailed. Um, Probably
Damn.
be depressed and anxious at some point in your life.
But it's
Um,
all worth it.
but it's worth it for the greater good of a
There is the
humanity
greater of
and
humanity.
civilization that will not repay you. And frankly, if they saw you, burning in a building, probably won't do anything.
Wow, Craig. Yeah, I don't know whether to laugh or
That was
because what you said
actually,
was actually pretty correct. That you were joking, but that was
it
actually
was honestly that
pretty
that
accurate.
that
You know?
was that's truth. But I feel really bad for saying it. I've just
I know. I mean, it's truth, but but hey, man, listen. The people tend to forget a lot of living has been done by humans, right?
mm.
We'll keep on going forward. There's been worse times than this. There's been better times than this,
By the way,
but
Rami,
we keep on going forward. You know?
um, so China, remember we talked about earlier.
Hmm.
So China has the world's greatest irreligious population, and the Chinese government and Communist Party is officially atheist. Despite limitations on certain forms of religious expression and assembly, religion is not banned, and religious freedom is nominally protected after the Chinese constitution. So I saw here, you're right, they've got tons and tons of Buddhists, but like as a state, this is what I've heard, they're not.
Oh yeah, like they're as a state they're atheists. Yeah, but that's just better for that's just because it's better for them. I mean, it's better to separate church and state because then you could have arbitrary policies that
Yes.
cannot be accused of religious bias. The United States supposedly is separated from church and state, which is kind of hypocrisy in a couple things. I could go into it, but I'm not. Right? A lot of things are separated by in Arab countries. They proclaim they're not, and they do it,
Yeah.
proudly to announce that they are mix of church and state. Especially
Yeah.
Muslim countries, right? Because it's just the way that Islam, right, is looked at by its followers. It's just a difference of perspective. right? And they represent the people. I mean, I don't think they would survive if they said we're going to separate church and state. That's what people don't realize. People think that governments force these things, right? But governments are
Don't
in a
they?
way, well, they do when it comes to personal gain, but to actually function, right? Even dictatorships have to give something to the people. If you are familiar with Machiavelli, right? For those of you who are not, look him up. I'm not going to go into the whole story of Machiavelli, right? But I think it's from The Prince and the Pauper, wrote a book, right, about how to govern people and how to get what like the public to be not to have them as a problem. It wasn't even about, it's about functionality of to do what you really want to do in government, right? And he always says make the people happy. Even if you're doing fucked up things, make them think that you're trying to make them happy, right?
Yeah.
And that's how you are able to function in government. Now, you could argue against that, say, how about communism in Cuba? The people are miserable. That's true, right? But there has to be some kind of giving to the people, right? So my
Yeah, but
point is,
bro,
well,
does
but
it?
my point is, right, with the Arab countries, right, the people want a government that's mixed with religion because that is you understand? That's why. Like, look, if you go to a communist, right, country, right, they'll always say, well, at least we're not this, right? And whatever that is, right, that's what's keeping their government intact, right? So in a communist country, they're like, hey, at least we don't have everybody's equal or whatever. At least we have equality, right? Because that's what communism is, equality, right? It is.
You're gonna say equality really weirdly.
All
Uh,
right, yeah, I know. But that's what I'm saying. At least we have equality. At least we're pure, Cubans, whatever it is. They have something because there has to be a reason for them not to all come together and rebel, right? There has to be some kind of barrier, kind of mixed emotion there
but
that's gonna
bro,
stop them.
bro, like, can we not just look at so many societies where religion and the state are separate, and people can practice their religion in whatever way, and it works? Does it not work?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Yes, but mixing religion obviously works well for other people. That's the whole thing I'm trying to. My point is
Well,
that
no, but so like when you look at the separation of the two, it works for everybody pretty much. But whenever you look at mixing the two, okay, you can highlight the benefits, but I'm sure there'd be a lot of women listening to this in particular, a lot of gay people listen to this who might think something like a lot of these, these really big
yeah, but
social.
again, right? Religion says nothing against women rights, right? That's all cultural kind of stuff there that they
No,
are
but
putting.
good
That's
point.
not religion.
But
That's not
well,
religion.
but is it not? I thought like in some books, I think in the Bible there is this feeling of like women have to do what the man says. I thought there was some kind of uh what is it?
Misogyny or
No,
whatever.
well, no, just kind of like hinting at that. But yeah, it's not clear.
No, that's cultural, man. I mean, that is you could go back to pre-religion, right?
Mm,
The man is the hunter, and the woman is the nurturer,
but I thought
right?
it was
I
something.
mean, that's just natural kind of things that kind of gone past society. Man is the provider, woman is the nurturer, right? Again, I'm not saying oh, women should be nurturers or men should be providers, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that that has always been around before religion. What religion did with that is, oh, maybe justify it somewhat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in term, but that was the culture when religion these books came out. I mean, you ain't gonna see a woman owned barber shop, right? I just saw Coming to America too. That's where I got that from. Right? A woman-owned barbershop, 2,000 years ago. No, he wasn't. Doesn't even even the women wasn't even thinking that. That's what I'm trying to say, right? It's a cultural thing,
Yeah, I
right?
guess so.
And that's what I'm saying. Even today, I speak to some men, right? I speak to some lads, right? And they prefer a woman to be at home. They're like, hey, when she needs to cook, she needs to clean, etc., etc. And is that misogynistic? He's like, oh, I'll buy and pay for everything, but she'll stay home. And I mean, if you find a woman that's agreeable to that, and there are,
Oh yeah, I know a
right?
lot of girls that just want that.
Right, that they just exactly they just want that, right? Because who's to say that's wrong? I'm just saying that
Mm.
that is a kind of always been there. So don't blame that on religion alone. Maybe like I
So,
said,
so
religion
Rami,
maybe have it to justify it a little bit.
so like the fact that women in Saudi Arabia or something like they can't
Right,
do all
perfect
that.
example, good example.
Yeah, I was thinking about like the driving has only come in.
Right, where in any Bible does it say a woman can't
About
drive?
driving.
That's what I'm trying to
And
tell you.
then the
That's
Lord saith unto them, women
right.
must not drive the
That's what
car.
I'm trying to tell you. That is not a religious. It's religious has nothing about that. Now they might say, well, don't drive because the religion says you shouldn't be seen in public. It arouses men, and the Bible says you shouldn't try to arouse men that are not your husband.
Mm.
Right? They might use that logic to pass this. Right? Right? That's different. What I'm saying is they really wanted to do this. You think, oh well, man, I love women driving. Shit. But fuck, the Quran says I can't. Sorry. That they're not saying that. They don't want women driving because women are a threat to men in terms of dominance, right? In terms of control, right? More not dominance, control is a better word, right? And why change things that's always been this way, right? So they're like, hey, men should be business owners, men should do business. You worry about cooking tea or making tea and cooking my falafel, right? That's what you should be worried about. Don't worry about your little pretty heads. And that's a cultural thing that's been in the United States, that's been in Ireland, that's been in the UK. Guess what? Everywhere, right? We could talk about Colombia. Colombia is a very, very traditional
Yeah, they
kind of
actually are.
role setting that even the prettiest women here are used to doing stuff in the kitchen. I mean, they're just expected to do that, and again, right? That's just part of the culture. It has nothing to do with the religion.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
So that's what I'm saying. That's why mixing religion and politics can work, right? Only when the public is down with it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Even a dictatorship gives them some kind of reason to be down with shit. And Russia is a communist country, right? But hey, you don't see. I've met many Russians, and I thought we talked about this. Some complain, others don't. Why? Because some like it the way it is. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's just human nature.
Probably the oligarchs like it.
Yeah, hell yeah, oligarchs like it.
Rami, we've been going for like.
Yeah, I know, and it's rambling and rambling on.
I like it though. I enjoyed listening to you with all of these little thoughts. Got a lot of stuff I haven't really thought about. It's kind of weird how the mind goes there. But anyway, what we call it?
All right, later.
All right, everyone.
All right. The No Hassle Podcast.
Oh yes, I didn't know what you're doing there, and I don't know. Maybe
You just ruined the whole.
I kind of did, didn't I?
All right. Oh,
Wow.
there you go. It's called the No Hassle Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, because you know what? Listening to us is no hassle. No,
Just well,
it's a little hassle.
because you have to put it on, and
Thanks, Craig. I'm trying to
This
sell
has been
something.
episode 15. Thank you for joining us.
Peace.
Peace and love and all of that good stuff.